Terrorism concerns seem to be animating voters. Let's get to the race for the White House now. New Fox polling on the GOP side of things shows Donald Trump firmly in the lead, 10 points ahead now of Ben Carson, who seems to have taken a bit of a hit over the last couple of weeks. But Senators Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio both gaining. They are tied for third, while Governor Jeb Bush ticked up slightly, garnering 5%. The rest of the GOP presidential hopefuls all at 3% or below. And this comes as an ABC Washington Post poll shows similar results, although the numbers are slightly different. The top five remain the same. In this poll, Carly Fiorina does get more than 3%. She's coming in at number 6 with 4%. Joining us now to take apart some of these numbers, Nina Easton, senior editor and columnist at Fortune magazine and a Fox News contributor. Jamie Weinstein is senior editor at the Daily Caller. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nina, what strikes you about these numbers?
Well, it's very striking that Ben Carson has lost ground. People have been waiting for him to sort of ebb, and I think given his some of his answers on foreign policy in particular, I think that probably hurt him. The other news is that Donald Trump, who people have thought would ebb for the past, 6 or 7 or 8 months, John, still has a commanding lead. And at this point, people are going to have to say there is a real potential that Donald Trump could win a nomination.
And there's also new concern over terrorism, Jamie. It now rivals the economy as the #1 issue.
It does indeed, and we thought that after the Paris attacks, that one of two things would happen. There would be what I would call a flight to seriousness, to candidates who really know national security issues, who've done their homework, who've studied this, let's say Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Jeb Bush, or a flight to what I would call a strong man, someone who promised this to them if he's elected, all these things can go away, all these fears will be taken care of with little cost, like Donald Trump. And what we're seeing is it looks like Donald Trump has not been affected by the Paris attacks. There is not this flight to seriousness. And as Nina said, there has to be a understanding that there's a real possibility Donald Trump will win this nomination. He has not budged since he entered this race. He has been basically leading as the front runner or tied for front runner since he jumped in the summer.
And yet, if Donald Trump does win the nomination, he does not do as well, according to this polling, as some of the other Republican candidates. Maybe, Jamie, you can explain these numbers. Marco Rubio comes in at 50% to Hillary Clinton's 42%. Ben Carson, 45 to 39. There's Jeb Bush. Bush is at 45 to 39. Carson, 47 to 42. Then you see Trump beating Hillary Clinton 46-41. Ted Cruz, Chris Christie, and Carly Fiorina ties her. Jamie, can you explain those numbers?
Well, what I think the important aspect there is that almost all the Republican candidates are beating Hillary Clinton, which may take away the electability factor as a major thing for candidates to vote on, for Republican primaries voters to vote on. If all the candidates look like they beat Hillary Clinton, which would maybe help Donald Trump and hurt Marco Rubio, because Marco Rubio does appear to be the best candidate to go against Hillary Clinton at this point. But I will note this. Donald Trump is a master brander. He kind of appeals to the audience he has to appeal to. In a general election, he may have to appeal to a different audience and change his what he's saying, and may help his electability there. So he'll brand himself for the audience he has to brand himself for.
Nina, what do you think about the Trump surge, if you will?
Yeah. I would disagree with Jamie on that a bit. I do think that these sort of divisive comments that he makes, whether it has to do with immigration or some racial incident that happened over the weekend or Syrian refugees, this is a party, the Republican Party is a party that in a general election needs to broaden the tent. It is too old. It's too white. The demographics of this country are changing. We saw that. That's what happened to Mitt Romney in 2012. And I think he will have a real struggle in a general election. He may try to brand himself away from it, but he has already said what he's already said. I mean, he's on record, and those are comments that a Hillary Clinton could easily use against him in advertising.
Well, that incident you alluded to over the weekend, we have a clip of it. Let's play it for you now.
Do I hear somebody over there? You know, you have one guy over there shouting. We have thousands of people, and you'll read about him tomorrow. They'll say, oh, the room had a picket. All right, yeah, get him the hell out of here, will you, please? Get him out of here. Throw him out.
Apparently, Nina, he was shouting Black Lives Matter, a well-known local protester who's been apparently arrested previous times for getting a little too boisterous. But it illustrates the thing that a lot of people like about Trump. He's direct and confrontational.
Yeah, I mean, a big chunk of the Republican Party likes it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And that's why he's sitting up there on the top of the polls. But again, I think if you go into a general election, people are going to be looking more at his demeanor. They're going to be looking more at whether he's somebody who can unite rather than divide. They're going to be looking to somebody who, again, is just not as divisive as Donald Trump has shown himself to be in the nomination process.
And how do voters see him when it comes to terrorism, Jamie?
Well, according to the polls, they see him as, of the field, the best able to handle it, which is somewhat remarkable because he seems to be, from the interviews, maybe one of the least knowledgeable about actual facts on the ground. But let me just respond quickly to Nina. When she mentioned in the general election, he's already said what he said. You know, he has a remarkable ability to not have to stand by things he's previously said. He's able to get around things that he said and kind of put them to the sideline. We've seen this in the Republican primary. We thought that a lot of things he said would kill him, but he's able to maneuver around it, claiming that he never said what we have on tape. So after seeing what he's done in the Republican primary, I do not underestimate his ability to be a chameleon and kind of shift to what the general populace wants in a general election and kind of put away the rhetoric he said before without it hurting him. I think we might be surprised.
Jamie Weinstein from the Daily Caller and Nina Easton, Fortune magazine.
Thank you.